our mighty moderator in the chat. So many new faces today. Hey, everybody. Exploit It, welcome. A lot of people from many different countries. I can hack the stream with trolls. Oh no. I don't think we need your help with that. I think we get enough of that. Not really. Hello, welcome. We got Casey, we got Digital Andrew. Everybody's joining in today. Glaciality, welcome to the stream. Another familiar face. Got some folks from India. Nice. Cambodia. Justin's tuning in from the Upside Down. Oh no. What'd you all think of the Stranger Things finale? I thought it was not great. I mean, it was all right. There was a lot of, it was 10 years of the show. I feel like the ending wasn't what I would have expected. I wish there were more. I'm not going to spoil anything. I just wish there were more, I guess, consequences is the word. Zen's coming from Toronto. So you've been enjoying this this cold blast we've been having. It's been quite the Canadian winter this year. I always say I can do cold and I can do snow, but I don't like to do them at the same time, right? Because sometimes you get those really snowy days, but there's a lot of cloud coverage, so it's warm, relatively. But when you get the days where you get those clear blue skies, it's nice, but it's always freezing because I don't know, physics or science or whatever, the clouds aren't keeping the the heat in, I guess. I got some folks from Nigeria, from Chile, nice. Cameroon. We've gone worldwide with TCM. It's awesome that we have such a large community. No spoilers. Okay, I won't spoil it. Just be prepared. Yeah, better than the Game of Thrones ending. I've been wanting to watch that show for over 10 years now, but because I love Lord of the Rings, so I've heard, you should also enjoy Game of Thrones, but yeah, I've heard many things about the ending. Yeah, I agree. I really do like those days as long as you bundle up. But sometimes you get stretches where it's just so gloomy and dark, and then you get today. Well, I couldn't show you, but we had a nice blue sky today. If I want to learn how to hack, where do I start learning first? Well, you're in a good spot for that. You're on YouTube, so the TCM YouTube channel has some great long videos there. I think Britt just linked a good one here. It's probably the one I'm thinking of. But we have the practical ethical hacking course and the sort of video format as well. So you can catch a lot of that course content for free on our YouTube page. So that's where I would start. And if you do kind of enjoy that, check out the TCM Academy. We have a bunch of different courses to sort of build you up on that roadmap. Speaking of which, I was just reading the email here from TCM just to remind everybody we have those bundles, right? So we have the penetration tester bundle, we have the ultimate hacking and defending bundle, as well as the defender bundle. Those are going away at the end of the month. based on what I see here. So we're running a sale basically on those bundles. So you have until the end of February, I believe, to pick those up at a great discount before they go away. So be sure to check those out. There'll be a link coming in the chat if you are interested in seeing what those consist of and what deals TCM is currently running on those. Probably be our last sale for a little bit, right? We run a few each year throughout the year, so that was a surprise one as we're retiring those bundles. Make sure to bundle up, as Bellini put it, more eloquently than I could have. Yeah, a ton more people from Ghana. Welcome to the stream. Oh, every time I click, I lose my spot in the chat. Hold on. But I saw a bunch of different locations. Hello, Zeal. Welcome to the stream. Just in time. Oh yeah, there's our Defender bundle. So we have a few different blue team. If anyone's interested in the mighty blue team, which is the better side in my opinion. No. Nice, big fan from India. We should be able to meet you one day. Nice. Welcome to the stream. Maybe DEF CON this year if you attend. We'll see. We were talking about it earlier this week. I know I say I want to go every year, but maybe this year. What? Mods, come get this guy. Nah, it's all good. You might not enjoy the stream today, though, because we're going to do some forensics, it looks like. Speaking of which, let's quickly introduce the box we're going to do today. If I still have my VM open. So this is the box. It's called Holmes 2025. It's a Sherlock on HackTheBox. I think this was probably part of maybe like a Advent of Cyber type thing they did at the end of last year, because it came out. It came out in December. So like last month, 2 months ago. Geez, flying by. But we're going to try this one here because it was labeled as DFIR. Digital Forensics Incident Response. So they give us the zip file, which contains, and we'll jump into it in a moment, just see if there's any other questions before we jump in. But I hop over to my desktop. This is what they give us. I'm on Windows today because I figured this looks like a CAPE triage image. Just based on, it looks like they pulled the C drive and they're pulling some important files. We have things like the MFT, things like the USN journal. I'm sure there were some log related questions I saw, so we'll probably find the event logs in there as well as some user folders. So we can do some registry forensics, maybe some file system, event log forensics. We'll see what's up with that. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. What was I going to say about that? I guess I was just introducing the challenge here. All right, let me scroll back up. So we'll jump into that in a minute because there are quite a few questions here. So it looks like it's probably going to take a little bit of time, and don't want to be on stream all day. So we'll try to get through it as best as we can. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hope you can help create the new Practical Malware Research Expert course. Well, thank you. Yeah, that would be awesome to do. I know it's again, we could say this for everything, but I know it's on the roadmap somewhere to expand that side of the academy as well. Yeah, Husky Hacks made a fantastic course. The PMAT is just incredible, and so I would love to see that in a more advanced direction or sort of continued direction, because it's such a good foundation for so many different blue team, even penetration testing and purple team activities. Like, it's such a good foundation for malware analysis. Forensics, that's great. Yes, for sure. Yeah, so I can address this. So the Practical Windows Forensics course is a course developed by Blue Cape Security. So they're another kind of training consulting organization. And they originally created the course, and I think back then, like a few years ago, TCM was kind of a platform that was hosting a number of different courses from other creators, right? And so we've had like the GRC course, for example, who was created by Jerry, and as people develop their own kind of platforms, eventually they might want to take their course off of the academy, and so that's basically what happened there. Perfectly understandable, right? It's Marcus's course, fantastic course, and it's still being hosted on Blue Cape Security. So if you had plans on taking that course, you can pick it up before it retires on the TCM Academy, or if you come back in a few months and it's gone, rest assured it's still going to be on Blue Cape, right? So the same course, fantastic course, great curriculum, but it's always been on our roadmap, especially this year, to continue the forensic side of TCM. And so I don't really think anything's really going to change there. We still have some amazing courses planned. And of course, there's going to be overlap in the content, right? So we will, quote unquote, fill that gap. But I wouldn't expect like a one-to-one recreation of that course. I think it's a fantastic course. I don't want to just recreate it, right? That wouldn't be fair, and it wouldn't be right to Blue Cape and Marcus. So we will, rest assured, have some fantastic forensic courses coming out in the academy this year and onwards. So I think that's going to be the big blue team focus at TCM. We're still going to have some red team focused, eventually maybe some purple team as well. So but that's what I can say from my perspective as someone who doesn't always make those decisions, but certainly is going to be working on some really fun stuff this year on the forensic side. Yeah, that's right. When will we start the CTF? Well, we can start it right now if you like. Let me just catch up on the remaining questions here. Never done a blue team box. I'll stay for the fun. Nice. Yeah, we should have some fun today. Yeah, PMAT is great. I like that his name is Matt and it's abbreviated to PMAT. I don't know. Kind of worked out there. All right. All right, let's jump into the box. And as we go through, we'll probably break between questions, or definitely at the end, we can see what else has been pinned for us to tackle as we go through the box. So again, to make sure I don't run over time, let's get this thing started. All right, and so we don't really get much of a scenario here. This is part 3, I guess, and we didn't do part 1 or 2, so maybe we should have started there. But again, this one just kind of looked interesting. And so basically we get a disk image. A system was identified as part of a breach. It's showing abnormal CPU activity and different anomalies in the process logs. And so That's always nice to see. If we get process logs, if that's what I assume they mean, is like process execution logs. So maybe sysmon logs if we have access to that, or 4688s in the security log, which you don't often see turned on. So anytime you can get your hands on them, it's nice. So that's what we're starting with. We download that zip file, and once we decompress it, we essentially we get a C drive, right? And this looks like cape output because we get these sort of checksum console log outputs in text here. So we can see, so we can see the actual command line that was run with cape, as well as all of the different targets and modules that were used. And so basically we have a triage forensic image here containing hopefully a number of important files that we're going to need to speed up our analysis, right? It would be great if we could do a full disk analysis and look at everything. But what I think, to make sure I'm not here all day, we'll just stick to the questions and sort of use these like as our investigative questions from the client that they want us to answer forensically. And so based on a few of these, it looks like we're going to be dealing heavily with the Windows event logs. So it's asking about commands that were executed. It's asking about, the parent process that spawned this command. So yeah, we're probably going to be looking at logs here. We could start to look at like evidence of execution. We could jump into, for example, the prefetch directory, even just sort by modified to see what was run here. We see gcape was run, so this was like the response team running that triage image to collect it. But again, as we continue to go down here, we could probably get some evidence of things that were run. You can see command prompt was opened. Anything else interesting? We can see cape, RDP clip. So there's some RDP activity. Again, this is just super high level here. I just want to get like a sort of bird's eye view of what we're looking at. But again, probably going to jump into those event logs there. And so what I'll do, because they're probably just going to be in raw format, I will run the EBTE CMD tool by Eric Zimmerman, so we can convert those over to a CSV, which will make things a lot easier to sort of cut through. I have a few other tools on this box we could use too. I also have, what could we maybe use? I have Chainsaw, I have Hayabusa, so if we want to start cutting through those event logs, we could definitely use either one of these tools as well. But we'll just keep it simple for now until we need to ramp things up, and we'll just convert those over to a CSV, which is the best forensics tool, which is Excel or Timeline Explorer, more likely. And so we'll get that set up, and I think that'll give us a good baseline to start cutting up these logs. There we go. We have some important event logs there. Yeah, good shout. I'm sure we'll use a few of these here. I don't see 4688 there, though. I think that's going to be, if we have access to it, that's going to be what I want to start with. But yeah, 4720, I think there was a question about a new account, so that'll come in handy as well. All right. So I'm just going to run the event Explorer command line so I can convert those. We'll start with security logs, and then we'll convert that over to a CSV. And so I want to grab from my tools directory a lot of autocomplete here because this is a new box that I set up. I don't really know where everything is or where I placed everything. Whoops. Tools. F9. I'm sure it's in here. Yep. .exe, there we go. I'm going to run that against, actually, does it give us? Yeah. So we're going to run it against a file that we'll find in the triage image, and then we can convert it to CSV. So we need to create a directory as well as the file name. And so let me actually just create that directory first. So I'll hop into our working folder. I'm just going to create an output directory. And then we can point that over to here. So for the file, I'm going to hop into that triage image. So that's going to be Under users, my user account, desktop, HackTheBox, enduring echo. Then we have the C drive, I think. Yep. And then, so the event log locations are going to be under system 32, and then we have the win event folder, and then we have I believe a subfolder called logs, and then we should find all of those logs there. So Windows, system 32, log files, is that it? I thought it was logs. Or no, sorry, win event, and then we have logs, and then security.evtx. There we go. So quite the process, but I think this is going to save us a lot of time once we have this in working order. And so we'll save that to a directory, which is going to be C. Such a long command. I could have set this up better if I was in a better folder running this, but HackTheBox, during echo, and then we have an output directory, and then we'll just call it CSVF. We'll just call it security.csv. There we go. That's going to work its magic. We can see it's sort of parsing through all those event logs in that sort of proprietary binary format. And then it's going to give us, hey, what do we find in those logs, right? And there we go. I'm seeing 4688. So these are the optional Windows process logging that you can turn on, which is not on by default, but it's super important if you want to have full visibility into what's going on. All right, so either have something like this or sysmon process logging enabled. But this is still going to give us some decent fidelity here. So that's probably where we're going to start. We can see it did manage to extract quite a few logs. So I'll just open that up in Timeline Explorer now. All right. And so now we can really start to to make sense of this, right? So unfortunately, you know, with forensics, a lot of it is kind of boring to watch, right? We're just going to be looking at a CSV file for a little bit here until we sort of figure out what's going on, right? It's not as flashy and grand as we might find doing like web hacking, right? So unfortunately, that's just the way she goes. And so I'm going to try to clean some of this up here, just removing some columns that we probably don't need. We know it's from security logs. We don't need that. We don't really need the provider. So some of this we just need to clean up so we can make sense of things. Do we want this? Yeah, we'll keep that column. We definitely want the payload data. The executable info, definitely want that. Source file, we know that. We don't need that. And that should be okay. Probably don't need that. All right, so this is why sometimes it's nice to have a really wide monitor. Unfortunately, when I'm streaming, I don't have that. But we'll make it work. And so first thing I want to do is we can start to cut up these logs now, right? So 4688 is what I want to search for. So we can just limit it to those process creation logs at first. Because the first question is asking us what was the first non-CD command that was executed by the attacker on the host. And so those process logs are probably going to be our best bet. And we've cut that down to only 2,000 events. So doing okay so far. So I'm going to go over, now that we're just looking at those process logs, we can see we have a column here showing us the parent process. But I want to see what was actually run. It's going to be, I guess, here under executable info. So I'll make that fit. And we're now looking at all the different processes that were essentially run, as well as their command lines as well, which is nice. And so we can see WMI. You can see cmd.exe was used to run some VMware tool stuff. So this might just be sort of like background kind of activity going on. But if we're looking at commands, what I would probably do is start to cut this up based on like the PowerShell executable, maybe the cmd.exe, right? Just to sort of take this big list and chop it up in a way that we can look at the low hanging fruit, right? Like the common denominators here. If an attacker is going to be running commands, they might spawn a command prompt, right? They might spawn a PowerShell session. And so we can really cut down on a lot of the noise by doing that, right? We have a bunch of service host services starting up. And so we don't really need to see this at the moment. Yeah, we just see a bunch of noise. So what I'm going to do first is let me just cut this down to cmd.exe. And so we've now cut that down to only 60 lines, which is a lot more manageable. And these are probably ones we might be interested in because they'll be running a command prompt, right? And so I don't know if I can zoom this in, but I do have my handy zoom it tool, so I need to highlight things. And so as I scroll down, I'm already seeing some really weird stuff. So kind of got lucky here, but again, if the attacker wants to run commands, they sort of have to do so through a command interpreter, right? So this is really a good sort of hunting technique, which yields results, as we can see here. And so you don't really have to understand what is going on here to know that something weird is going on, right? So we can see cmd.exe. We can see it's being run in quiet mode to run a command, in this case, the cd command, right? So that looks okay, like it's a little strange, but it's the part that follows it, which is really weird. And it's sort of a pattern that we see in a lot of these different commands here. And so what we've got going on is it's running commands quietly through the command prompt, and it's redirecting the output and all the errors as well. And it's doing so in a really weird location, right? So we see it's pointing to localhost. It's pointing to the admin $share, right? Or that C Windows. And then it's pointing to this. And this is the file name, right? This is the name of a file and the extension. And so extremely weird stuff here. We can see they ran CD. We can see they run system info. We can see that they've moved into a user's directory, but they're all doing it while they're sort of directing that output into this strange file in the admin $share. Right? And so if you were to see this, I would immediately flag this as something weird. This is definitely not a human typing all of this in manually, right? But what we're looking at here is most likely some kind of remote management or remote kind of framework here, like psexec, wmyexec, right? They all sort of have these tells to them, where it's redirecting that output into a sort of admin weird file, or redirecting that output in a way, right? If we were to look at, I think there's a good CrowdStrike article for wmyexec, which is, I think, exactly that pattern. Like any of these in-packet tools, they work in similar ways, right? psexec will drop a weird service to run. It'll drop a weird randomly named file in the admin share. I think, yeah, so this is exactly it, right? We can see it's running that same pattern of quiet mode. It's sort of appending that, redirecting the output of the file over to the local host here, right? Using that sort of UNC path, and then dropping it into that weird file name. And so here's an exact example that we've seen, which looks exactly what we're looking at. Obviously, the randomized name and extension are going to be different each time, as a way to sort of make it harder to write signatures for, right? Yeah, we can see exactly. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we're looking at here, right? So it's given a file name of 2 underscores. Oh, yeah, so that's a timestamp, right? Current time and epoch. So that's why it's different, right? It's using the epoch timestamp there. And the files will reside in C/Windows, right? So the admin $share. Interesting. And so we definitely found something suspicious here, and we could filter this down farther. And I think someone even mentioned it. I saw the chat go by. But we can just sort of use some of these indicators that we found to clean up our output even more. So we've narrowed that down now. We've cut 20 additional lines. So we now have 40 that are just going to be these weird ones, right? That follow this weird pattern here. We could even use some regex if we wanted to, just highlight like the weird file name. But I think this is good enough for now. If I scroll back up, we can see, yeah, exactly. We basically have a log now of just the type commands from the attacker side, which is perfect. We can sort of follow their exact steps throughout this attack, which is exactly what we wanted. All of that work that we put into building up this CSV and searching it and hunting through it is now going to pay off now that we have this nice output here. As we can see, the question was asking, was the first command they ran aside from the CD commands? And so we can see CD here. Looks like they eventually ran system info using the same technique. So let's see if that's good. There we go. Which parent process or the full path spawned the attacker's commands? And so this is probably another way that we could identify that we're dealing with WMI exec here or PS exec activity. Probably even says it here. Looking for. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, parent process is going to be this WMI prvse.exe. So that's probably what we have here as well. If we just verify by, highlighting one of these, going over to the other column here, where it's going to give us the parent process ID, sort of in hex here, which we can convert if we need to. But it's also going to give us the path of the parent process as well, right? So we can see it's running that WMI provider. Right, so just another indicator sort of pointing over to this is most likely WMI exec. And that's actually question 3, right? So which remote execution tool was most likely used for the attack? WMI exec with an extension here. I'm assuming that's just .py. Yeah, WMI exec.py is the government name of this remote execution framework. We can probably find the code there that's doing it too. If I just do a search here on GitHub, like if we wanted to sort of like write a detection rule or something, it'd be a little more difficult because it's using that like sort of dynamic timestamp, right? So it's hard to write a static signature, but we still definitely can use some of these indicators here into like a sigma rule or something, right? We can see the command line using those same quiet arguments to pass in a command. And if I just do a search for that variable now, shell, yeah, we can see reference to that sort of localhost path where it's sort of appending that and redirecting the output there, right? So there's definitely enough information here for us to write a rule based off of this. There's already, Sigma rules that exist for WMI exec. And so we don't need to reinvent the wheel here, but just to sort of show the process. See if we can find something. Yep. Yeah, so there we go. So someone much smarter than me, we have the author there, wrote something that's going to do that using some clever regex, right? And it's using that same CrowdStrike blog as a reference. So there you go. There's the full process of hunting for something and then subsequently writing a rule to detect it, right? All right. What was the attacker's IP address? Well, let's go back to our commands here. We can continue going down the chain to see if we find something indicative of the attacker's IP, right? And so, again, it looks like we could clean this up if we wanted to, but we can sort of make sense of what's going on just by looking at the start here. So it looks like they ran system info, they run a CD, they changed into this projects directory under this Werny user. It looks like they moved into this monitor HPC directory, doing a lot of CDs. It looks like they dropped a PowerShell script. Maybe we could find that from the triage image if we wanted to. They moved into their SSH folder. they read out the known host file. All right. Where were we? Right. So they read out this known host SSH file, which sort of is that, that file that gives you the fingerprints, right, or the different servers that you've connected to over SSH. So, and then it looks like they've echoed out an IP address into the host file. It looks like. Let me zoom back out. Yeah. So this specific one here looks like he's echoing out a host mapping here, right? So this IP address, which I'm assuming is going to be the attacker's IP here, pointing that over to this domain of napoleonsblackpearl.htb. And so what I think might be going on here is he's trying to sort of do like a man-in-the-middle attack kind of thing, or like he's using a known host that was connected to and overriding the host entry for that domain using the attacker-controlled IP address, right? So it's appending that DNS entry to the Windows host file to sort of force a trusted host name to resolve to the attacker's controlled IP, right? So that's my assumption here. We could, we'll probably figure out more information as we go along, but that's sort of going to be the hypothesis here, is that this is the attacker-controlled IP. He's overriding this host entry based on what he found in the known host file. So let me grab that for the IP. All right, there we go. All right, the attacker established multiple persistence mechanisms. What is set as the name of the earliest one we created? All right, well, let's go back to our log, right? Giving us everything the attacker ran. And see if we can find anything. Like I'm looking for like a reg add to like the auto runs or the run key. Maybe a service being installed. Or here, scheduled task, right? So this looks like the first evidence that we see, at least in these process command line logs, of some type of persistence, right? Maybe we would have seen like a net user if they wanted to add like a backdoor user. But in this case, we see the scheduled tasks, or SCH task command, being used to create a new task called syshelper update. And what is that task going to do when it runs? Well, it looks like it's running some PowerShell, setting the execution policy to bypass, running it in that hidden mode, right? So a lot of these shady kind of PowerShell command lines that we see. And specifically, it's calling this script here. And it's running that every minute as system. It kind of gets cut off there, but I'm assuming as the system user. Yeah, there we go. And so this is the path that's being run. It's running this jm.ps1 script. So we might be able to get our hands on it. So let me go back into our triage directory here, and that's going to be under users, warny, app data local. I've seen weird scripts and malicious, scripts and malware hidden under the app data folder, right? Because it's kind of an obscure location. And what do you know? There we go. We have it, jm.ps1. So we could just open this up in, VS Code or Notepad, whatever, and see what it's doing. All right, so this was a scheduled task that the attacker set up to run every, I said 1 minute, looks like it's every 2 minutes, but whatever. It's running all the time to call this script, right? So we kind of want to know what the script is doing. And so we have a list here of potential usernames. So we have service net UPD, service DNS, syshelper. So a bunch of like ambiguous usernames here that are probably used as a backdoor, right? To sort of blend in. And it's seeing if those users exist. Any of those users exist on the system. Thank you for putting the comments here, Mr. Attacker. Makes it so much easier. And if none of those users exist, it creates one, right? And so we can see, so this is a sort of backdoor method, right? So it's checking if any of these users with these, I would say suspicious, but names to blend in, But if none of those exist, it's creating one, right? So that's the persistence part of it, right? So even if a user were to get deleted, it would just get recreated in 2 minutes, right? So we have new user. It's just getting a random one from this list. We can see a timestamp, so it's just running get date here to convert the current timestamp into this string format, so year, month, hour, minute, second. Okay, and so it's using that to set the password of this new user as Watson, which is my cat's name, and then appending the current timestamp to the password, right? So it's always having a dynamically generated password, right? Yeah, there you go. So clear backdoor going on here through this persistence mechanism, and then it's saving that as the password, and then it's setting the full name here to, again, something super generic. So like an admin looking through the list here wouldn't think twice. And then it's adding it, of course, to the administrator's account, the RDP group as well, and then enabling RDP in the registry. And then, someone said they saw invoke web request. Excellent eye there. It's making a request over to that domain that we saw being added to the host file, right? So we can really just walk through exactly what the attacker did here. So it's making a web request to the attacker controlled, as we can assume, domain here. And it's providing within the URL parameters in base 64 the username and the password, right? So it's creating a backdoor account every 2 minutes if it gets removed, right? And when it does that, it's sending the username and the password of that new local account with admin permissions over to the attacker's service, so it can sort of log that and say, hey, I just created a new account on this this compromised machine, right? So this is the attacker's command and control infrastructure here to receive those credentials, so it can then go back in and log in as an admin. There we go. We just sort of walk through that script there. Definitely malicious. And it's called syshelper update. That's the question. Identify the script executed by the persistence mechanism, the full path of the file, which we've also found hidden in this app data directory. What local account did the attacker create? Good question. We know what names it probably was, but it picks a random one, right? So we don't actually know unless we forensically look at the computer and look at the logs, right? Or look at the registry, right? That's another way we could do it. Maybe we could do that, but it's probably just quicker just to look for any user account created events, right? Which is, I think, it's not 7040. No, it's 4720. It's a new user account created, I think. And we want to clear that first filter. There we go. So it looks like we have a few different accounts created, but again, we always want to keep the timeline in mind. So all of our events, I think, were happening. I should have documented that, of course. But on this date, around this time. And so it probably just makes more sense to look at the most recent one anyways. And we can see under payload details, the actual names of the accounts that were created, right? And so these look to just be part of the machine, right? This account already existed and was taken advantage of by the attacker. And this name here matches what we found in that script, right? It was one of those random names that get assigned to the backdoor user. So it looks like we have this service net UPD. And we see the RID and the SID of that user as well, right? If we needed to cross-reference anything in the registry or whatnot. There we go. What domain name did the attacker use for credential exfiltration? Well, we saw that in the script based on the web request, right? So this is the domain name. What password did excuse me? What password did the attacker script generate for the newly created user? Oh, that's a tough question. Or maybe it's not, but it's sort of, remember, it uses the timestamp of when the user was created, so we don't actually know the password based on the script, unless it was like echoed out somewhere. Let me go back. Unless it was, yeah, like echoed out somewhere after we noticed the script being run. But it doesn't look like it. These are all the other commands. Looks like they did some firewall stuff. They added, proxy service. They ran this proxy.bat file. So I think we're going to have to sort of calculate this using the timestamp that we identified when the account was created based on the log. And so a little bit more work, but it's not something we can just directly reference. And so let me grab this timestamp here, because we know what format it's going to be in. We just need to know the time, right? And so that's the time there. And so I'm just going to temporarily write this out here so I can figure it out. So the password is going to start with Watson _, and then it's going to be the current timestamp. And so it's going to be in this 2025 08 24, and then we have hours, minutes, seconds. And so we have 23 05 09. But the thing I'm concerned about using this is generally event logs and registry logs, when we're looking at them like this, or sorry, the registry last write times, for example, are going to be in UTC format. There are obviously exceptions. Some entries use the local time, but we might have a difference here in the time zone. And so, well, let me just try this, see if it works. If not, I'm assuming what we're going to have to do is grab the current time zone of the system based on the control set in the registry, and then sort of convert the timestamp there. So let's try that. That looks correct. 2025 08 24, and then 23 05 09. So that's the format, but I don't know if the time zone is the same. No. Worth a shot. So we can find that in the registry pretty quickly. Because we probably need to convert that. This is, I'm assuming in UTC, we need to convert that over to the system's local time. So I'm going to use Registry Explorer for that, which I know I have. I just realized I had this thing going the whole time. That's going to be under here, Registry Explorer. And so I'm going to need to grab what the time zone of the system was set to when the triage image was taken, because that's going to affect how the password was saved, right? So because I'm assuming when the script runs, it's using the local time of the system, not UTC. So let's open up that Hive. And it's going to be under here, C, Windows, config. And so I'm pretty sure that's in the system. Yeah, it's got to be in the system Hive. Under current control set, so it has to be. Looks like there are some transaction errors, so we need to include the log files as well, right? So as the system's running, it's writing these log files to sort of cache registry changes. And so sometimes when you create a triage image, or if you grab the registry hives, not all of those changes or these log files have been committed to the current active registry. So you get what is known as a dirty hive, right? And so you need to replay those transaction logs into your registry to create a clean hive. So that's what this tool is yelling at us about. And then we need to save that clean hive. So I'll just throw that in our output directory. We want to load the updated hive, and we don't want to load that dirty hive. All right, so that's going to be under the control set. Control set, there's only one. And then it's going to be under, where is it? No, it's not services. It's got to be under control. I know there's something for time zone. see. Yep. Time zone information. There we go, right? So now we have, and Eric Zimmerman has a nice plugin here, which sort of takes the raw values, right? Because this is kind of hard to understand. So if we use the plugin here, he sort of converts that nicely to us. As we can see here, based on the time zone key name, this system was in Pacific Standard Time, right? So I think that's why the password that we dynamically generated did not work or was not the answer. Because we were using UTC time, we have to convert that over to Pacific, right? So it's just a matter of taking this and converting it, right? So we have 23:05:09. Let's see if we can just use ChatGPT. I know there's sites where you can convert it, but let's see if I can do this. From PST to UTC, or sorry, from UTC to PST. Or let me spell it out. D05. Okay. Yeah, you could probably toss it in decode. So let's change this now. Using the systems timestamp. So 0824 and then 15:05:09. No, still incorrect. I don't trust ChatGPT. Let's see. What was it? 23:05:09. To Pacific. 3:05. Oh, maybe. It's daylight savings time. Could that be the issue? Yeah, so if I bump this up an hour, maybe it was daylight savings. Yeah, see, that's what I'm confused about. So ChatGPT said it's -8, right? But if daylight savings, would it be -7 if it was PDT? Yeah, I think I didn't account for that. Well, let's try it, right? Doesn't hurt to try it. So I just bumped that up. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's what it was. Time zones, they suck. If everything is in UTC, we would never have problems. But okay. What was the IP address of the internal system the attacker pivoted to? Okay. I saw some proxy indicators based on the command lines we were looking at. So it's probably going to be related. And that was just after this, right? So the scheduled task was created. We can see the firewall was configured. The profile states were turned off. We can see the Win HTTP auto proxy service. There was a registry key added, or a value added here to start. And we can see this proxy.bat was run. I don't think we can get our hands on it though, because it was deleted just after. And then the computer was shut down, and then basically nothing after that. Okay. Let's see if there are any other logs around when the proxy was run, right? Because if this proxy.bat spawned its own, because it was run here. So if it spawned its own processes, we might not be capturing that. So what I'll do is just keep this highlighted, and then I will close out my filter here, and that's still going to take us to the same spot. It's a nice little trick there. And then we can see what else was run around that time. All right, so this is what we had highlighted, and then the next one in our previous list was going to be where it was removed, right? So all this activity took place in between the proxy.bat script being run and when it was removed. And what I can see here is that it looks like there were some processes spawned, specifically this net sh one. If we look at the parent, that was a separate command line process, I guess, that spawned it. But we can see some information here, which I think is what we're looking for, just right here. And so it looks like the netsh command was run basically to configure a proxy to listen. Terrible at drawing. To listen on port 9999 and connect over to this other internal IP, right? Over port 22. So I always hate dealing with proxy stuff because it's another, like time zones, right? It's confusing, but basically the computer's being made to listen on port quad 9, and anything essentially that goes over to that port is sort of proxied over to this IP address on port 22, right? So it's exposing that remote systems SSH service on 9999 essentially, right? And it's passing anything that connects there to the other machine, this machine's port 22. So let's grab that. And a sort of evidence of lateral movement here, pivoting throughout the environment. Come on, HackTheBox. Is my internet down? What's going on? Oh, there we go. And then the port number, yeah, we saw quad 9. What is the full registry path that stores persistent IPv4 to IPv4 TCP listener to target mappings? I don't know. I don't have any earthly idea. I don't think we need this anymore. But we do have our registry still opened. Where's timeline? I think what I'll do is if there's gonna be a mapping, I'm just gonna search for this IP in the registry. See if anything was written. Yep. Okay. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to find that, but it was sort of a cheat way to do it. I literally just searched for this IP, right? Because if it's going to be mapped somewhere in the registry, well, this IP's got to exist somewhere. And we can see the IP address and the port 22. And we can see the value is listening on anything on port 9999, right? So that's exactly basically what we saw as a result, right? So this is the sort of forensic artifact that occurred as a result of this command being run. So that's going to be under this key here. And it's asking for it. Yeah, it's definitely asking for it in that like live registry format. So we can't just copy this. I don't know if I can copy that. Oh yeah, kind of. But it wants it in HQ local machine. What else? I think current control set. Nope. Oh, system. What am I doing? There we go. Right, so that's where it would be on a live system, but we're dealing with the triage image, so we have to sort of convert the syntax. What is the MITRE ATT&CK ID associated with the previous technique used by the attacker to pivot to the internal system? I always like these questions because they're very easy to answer. NetSH pivot internal MITRE. Literally just going to search for that. No, I want the technique. Yep. Lateral movement. But what's the sub technique? All right, let me use proxy. Yes, internal proxy. There we go. So the MITRE search box doesn't really work, right? If I were to do proxy, oh, maybe it does. I just don't know how to use it. Well, that should be it. If I do a search for NetSH, yeah, we can see a few different campaigns here that have used it. Volt Typhoon has used the built-in NetSH port proxy command to create proxies on compromised systems to facilitate access. All right, that's exactly what we saw. Looks similar to what we've seen, right? Same kind of syntax there. What was this other one? Yeah, literally it's just referring to itself. Okay. There we go. Before the attack, the administrator configured Windows to capture command line details in the event logs. What command did they run to achieve this? Looks like a reg add, which is, again, if they're configuring Windows to capture command lines, you can do that through the registry. So, well, let's see. We can find that. Reg add. There's one, but that's not it. That's obviously the attacker, not the administrator. Let's clear out the search. Is there anything? No, that's just the same thing. I guess it's not in these logs. Oh, I guess it wouldn't have been, right? Because it was it's like the chicken and the egg. It wouldn't be in the logs if they were configuring it using a command. Okay, anyways. So I guess we just have to look it up. Command line details. Reg add command line auditing. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just grab this here. Thank you, AI. No? Okay. Oh, I don't know why it double backslashed. Reg add. Process creation, include command line enabled, and then setting that to 0. Nope. Wait, why is it 0? Should be 1. If it's enabling something, why is it set to 0? Oh, yeah, setting the value to 0 turns off command line log. So how would you give me that? Change that to 0. Is that going to work? There we go. Okay. Thank you, AI. There we go. That was actually pretty cool. I mean, it's mostly like log slicing, which I like to do, but not always the most fun to look at. We could have like run it through Chainsaw or something and just had it hunt through to find. It would definitely flag that WMI activity, so that probably would have saved a lot of time. But sometimes it's fun to do it more manually. But as for like some of the registry stuff, that was cool. Like figuring out the local time zone to convert that and sort of reverse engineer the password. Some of this proxy stuff. So it was kind of a cool attack to find the artifacts for. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's see if we can catch back up on chat. That was actually decent timing, just over the top of the hour there. Oh, good question from Circuit. When you solve a lab, I assume you mean, do you ever read other people's write-ups? Yeah, definitely. I always like to do it. And I think we can do it here. Official write-up or write-up available. There you go. Yeah, I like to do it just to see if there's other ways I could have found it, right? Or faster ways I could have found it. If you're ever too stuck, I don't think it hurts really to just, briefly look at what question you're stuck on to find a hint, for example, right? Don't actually like spoil it, but see like what is the thought process of whoever. I assume this is the person who wrote the challenge, right? If it's the official write-up. So it's here they use Chainsaw, right? So again, if I wanted to go back through this challenge, I could use Chainsaw and see how that works to speed things up, right? It looks like they quickly were able to identify, some of this weird stuff going on through just using Chainsaw at a high level. You can see new user created. I'm assuming they definitely flagged the WMI activity somewhere. But yeah, no, it never hurts to go through, especially after you've solved it. I always like to go through, even like after the stream, for example. I'll see if, hey, could I have done something better or faster or learn something for next time, right? So I'm sure if I go through this, there's going to be something I could have done better. Yeah, I'm curious how they found out the timestamp here. What? They use secrets dump? Did they crack it? Yeah, see, like this is a perfect example, right? So we sort of went the manual way. We went through the registry. We found the local time zone and sort of reverse engineered the password that way. It looks like this person just used secrets dump against the registry files to basically dump out the password hash of this backdoor user. And knowing sort of the pattern, they just brute forced it, right? Using those timestamps. So there you go. There's another way we could have done it. So yeah, no, definitely a great idea to go through the walkthroughs afterwards. It was fun solving the puzzle. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's especially with forensics, it's just a big puzzle that you're piecing together to retell the story. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right. Let me just catch up on some of these. Yep, yeah, I think I mentioned that before. We could have tossed those timestamps in decode. Registry Explorer has a built-in decoding utility you could use too on certain fields or certain plugins. Here we go. Which course for pen testing from TCM? Practical Ethical Hacking is going to be your go-to there. Yeah, I think caught up on some of those questions too. Yeah, using offensive tools for forensics. Definitely, yeah. Even like for threat hunting, right? Like Bloodhound is a great example. Not using it to like, own your domain, but to identify where those weak points are, right? Or those different paths that an attacker could exploit. Definitely sort of getting into that purple teaming thing there. But yeah, I've seen that done before, like cracking passwords as a forensic examiner, right? Like it's a good skill to have if you're trying to get into an encrypted disk or like a vercrypt kind of thing. If you can figure out what password a potential intruder or an insider threat is used, if they're not going to tell you, depending on your scope and legality there, you can definitely try cracking it, right? I did it the elegant way. Good point. Yeah, that's what I'll go with there. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I think I will get back to working on my own CTF, actually, which I guess we might talk more about throughout the month that we're going to be doing. So I think that should be fun. There will be some forensics required, batteries not included with that. So that should be fun. But thanks for joining me as always. I will be on the next time I stream. We will be doing some more fun stuff. If you have any suggestions or things you want to cover in the next stream I'm on, just drop it in the Wednesday stream channel. We can definitely see what the folks want to see. All right, thanks everyone. Yeah, it's a good answer from Circuit there. Prerequisite for forensics. Yeah, just be really good at operating systems, especially Windows. You're going to be dealing a lot with Windows internals and understanding logs and sources, and honestly, being good with CSVs and Excel. To be honest with you, a lot of it is just sort of manipulating data, right? It's one thing, like it's easy to teach someone to collect and acquire the data, but really to perform the analysis is not something that AI can do even. So it's something that you have to have that investigative mindset to do, which is both a science and also kind of an art. So you really got to blend the two. Thanks, everyone. Have a great